You're watching News 54. Nakuru County Governor 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 to his contradictory sentiments live on TV. While speaking during an interview on Citizen TV Punchline show on Tuesday night, KINYANJUI has shed light on the type of candidate Mount Kenya region will support come 2022 general elections. KINYANJUI has revealed that President Uhuru Kenyatta has cut Ruto down to size in his new order to make Raila Odinga as the next president of Kenya. According to KINYANJUI, President Uhuru Kenyatta made an order to the Mount Kenya business community to ensure they endorse Mr. Odinga as the next president of the Republic of Kenya. According to the Nakuru governor, President Uhuru Kenyatta made the order because he believes Kenya is in safe hands with Raila rather than his deputy William Ruto. The Nakuru governor further added that those with clear eyes could see that Raila is the next president and therefore they should make right decision on the matter. The governor added that Uhuru made the order to cut down Ruto's presidential ambitions in the next year polls. During the interview, the governor further added that the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga has changed the political narrative in Mount Kenya in 3 days, what he believes costed Ruto years to build. In addition, during the interview, the governor added that the Uhuru's order to cut Ruto down to size in order to make Raila president is a good move as he believes Kenya is in safe hands of Raila than Ruto.
Who is your preferred candidate for president governally?
I think this is a process, and I'm on record saying that it is a process because, you know, candidates are coming up with their policies, with their programs and so on. But I think having said that, we expect that in the coming days there'll be greater clarity. Issues that require more information, we can clearly see them. And as I said in the past, for example, the BBI was a very key point of departure. Yeah. And it had very important deliverables for our region. My county, for example, we are getting 5 more constituencies, 9 billion shillings more for our region. So again, for people we think stood with us and are going to support us even in achieving this, even in future, yeah, I think that would be a major consideration.
You haven't answered my question though.
I think candidates have an opportunity to sell it to us, and we also have our list. So it's a process. We are in conversations with former Prime Minister. He has made presentations, but as you can be sure, this will be in a series of many others to come. And I think as our region, our eyes are open. We are very sympathetic to those who stood with us, specifically to the former Prime Minister for also supporting the President during a very difficult period. Yeah. And I think as we move on, there's every indication that we will get where we want. Specifically to the former Prime Minister for also supporting the President during a very difficult period. Yeah. And I think as we move on, there's every indication that we will get where we want.
You sound to me like you haven't made up your mind, Governor.
As a person, I have said, and I want to repeat that I have personally never voted in that direction. Okay. But seeing what I see today, seeing the recent actions, seeing who has stood with us during the BBI process and many other times when he wanted to know who our friends are, yeah, I feel very inclined to go in that direction. But like I'm saying, a political process involves, okay, we are voting with you. What are you also putting on the table? So again, if we came here and said that we've closed everything, yeah, then it means we have no business negotiating. So it's a process.
So you're open to discussions with any other candidate? Because there are some leaders from Mount Kenya region who said that there's an irreducible minimum of a deputy president position and 40% of the cabinet. Is that your position as well?
Okay, that the position of me as an individual may not count. What will count is that eventually when we get to the table, yeah, we will discuss with the candidate that will emerge, that will be supportive of our agenda. And as I have said, we are very sympathetic, yeah, currently to the former Prime Minister unless anything changes. Yeah. And as we sit there, there will obviously be, we are doing this for you, what are you also doing for us? Are you guaranteeing us safety of business, positions in government, and all this? Yeah. And it's not just a question of one. You can get a deputy, but also have nothing else down there. So I think it's a long conversation, and it's not something to be done in presses. There'll be a serious conversation with strategists and people who've been there before and who can also lead in some of these conversations, and ultimately will be able to announce what would come.
Yeah. So, Governor, let's start off where you left it. You said that there's no option, the option is winning, and winning must be a must.
Yes.
What did you mean by that?
Well, I think in any human situation, even when you're preparing for an examination, you don't prepare to lose, you prepare to win. And politics being a science, it means there are specific ingredients you put and expect certain outcomes. So I think the point is, whatever it takes to win, you do it. Otherwise, why would you want to go to an election if you think you're not going to win? So I think the point we're simply trying to say, whatever is required and is necessary for victory, we must put it, and therefore the outcome we expect is victory. And I think that's really important for our region, because if you went to your people and told them you think or you're suspecting me win, who is going to come after you? So I think you also have to energize your area where you come from, and show them confidence. And if we're sure that one option or the other won't work, why would you be taking your people there? So I think it's a statement of confidence and the fact that you're ready to do whatever is necessary to achieve whatever results that you want to achieve.
A statement of confidence, you say, but you can't guarantee a win, because essentially it's the people who decide, right?
Absolutely. It's the declaration of victory is by the electoral body. But for the political actors, their work is to campaign and to say what they want and to give their policies with a view that the public will buy or will question or improve on the confirmation. But I think if it's about numbers, and I think that's where we are as political players, ours is to ensure that we get the numbers. And that's all we are saying, that whatever it takes to get those numbers, we are ready to do that. We are ready to beat the path and get the numbers.
Based on your projections, what numbers, percentage do you think you're going to get from Mount Kenya?
Well, I think it's too early. The election is about 9 months away. You cannot do a prediction now, given that there are so many things that are going to happen between now and then. There's going to be very serious movement between now and then. So the only thing we can predict at this stage is the probable direction that things are likely to take. But to be very precise on specific numbers, now that even the parties are not here, I think may not be very appropriate. But the important thing is, when you talk of 9 months to any election, even if you look at 2013, you look at 2017 and before, you cannot make very accurate predictions. But the point is, the formations are beginning to appear, and certain myths and certain assumptions are going to be crushed, including the fact that some candidates would not step in certain parts of this country. So I think there'll be lots of alignments. Again, when you get to February, a lot of people will move from one party to the other and so on. But all I can assure you is that this it will be an interesting space. And of course, like any other electoral process, interests will define where people go. I mean, we can talk of many models, but interests will be key in where people put their faith.
What is the main interest of the Mount Kenya region now?
First, it's good to confirm that I come from a region that would not typically fall under the Mount Kenya, because I have almost every other community. But it is also true that the Mount Kenya population, or the Mount Kenya associated population, is quite huge, and therefore I cannot also be oblivious to what is happening. And therefore, having said that, for us who live in what you may call the diaspora, the right to live, work, do business, and anything that you want in any part of this country, I think is a first assurance that we would want. That whether I'm in Lamu, I'm in Kitale, I'm in Kisumu, I'm in Turkana, I can live, work without having to fear anything. And I think that is one of the issues that you're putting on the table. Secondly, just like anybody else, we are in business. We have interest in business to ensure that we have our rightful share, not more than anybody else, our rightful share within the business space, and also the enactment of business-friendly policies. We have had instances where the SME, the businesses, have complained seriously about certain policies that went against the interests of the business community. We have had issues of importation and such like. So, again, you're saying a business-friendly atmosphere allows growth. And I think this is a matter that we'll be looking at. We are also looking at issues to do with the youth. The issue of hopelessness within the region is something that we have said many times. We have seen major issues of alcoholism. Even in my own county, we buried about 10 people about 2 months ago. And all these is because of hopelessness arising from some cash crops that were previously there, no longer there, meaning that we have economic issues that need to be solved. And therefore, we are also looking, just like anybody else, who can help us to solve some of these issues. They are not one-off. But if you're able to solve them gradually as we move on, it's going to make very huge changes. But I think also it's important to note that we are aware that these cannot be solved through a tokenist approach. These are deep-seated issues. They involve restructuring certain decisions that have been made, reviving the crops, because in the past, if you came from a family where, for example, you had pyrethrum, or you had coffee or tea and some of this, then you are not a beggar, you are not a poor person. You would be able to feed yourself, educate your children up to the university. But sometimes when you have challenges in these sectors, then a whole region is in trouble. I think these are some of the issues we'll be trying to look at, and also looking at genuine solutions to some of our many problems.
Governor, you're a governor of Nakuru. Yes, it's cosmopolitan, but also you have links in the Mount Kenya region, so you know what they're saying on the ground as a leader there. What are the irreducible minimums?
I think the issue of running mates, the region has for a long time had the top seats. So for this time not to be at the top, I think the least you would give them is running mates. But beyond that, there are also other critical positions in government, including ministries, ambassadors, parastatals, and all those other things.
What percentage?
And I don't think we've reached 2 percentages. That is good, to be fair. But ideally, we would not be asking for more than what is due to us. If you know, I think also it's good to say that Kenya belongs to all of us. We are therefore not asking for anybody else. But I think as a region, we would say what is due to us, let us get. If our population is, for example, 40%, there's nothing wrong with saying give us what is commensurate with our numbers and our contribution to the economy. And personally, even for me as Nakuru, I've also said in the past, and I wish to repeat, that our region has for a long time not had its fair share. So I think this is the time, and our constitution is such that before, I mean, we would go to an election and anybody would win, but now the constitutional thresholds for victory are so high that you have to talk to everybody. But as you talk, they also get to know what each section and each part of the country wants. And I think this is part of the building alliances and coalitions that is necessary for a stable government even as we move forward.
You've mentioned, all right, so would you say that the handshake is the difference between the Raila Odinga candidature of 2007, 2013 and 2017 and now in 2022? Is that what has made the difference?
That is the difference. If that handshake outside Harambee House did not happen, I'm sure the conversation would be different. And I think it's for that reason that we were saying that I think the handshake should have been even broader to include many other players as we move forward. Because unfortunately, it was not understood well at that particular time. But it was necessary. I come from a place where we produce potatoes, carrots, and everything. And sometimes even sending your produce to Mombasa was not possible on certain days because there would be, drama in the capital. So you want stability. Like I said, we are a business community. We want to do our business, send our produce all over. We are in transport and that kind of thing. So whoever gives that kind of guarantee, or at least assures that, I think is important. But more importantly on the handshake is the fact that at some important stages in life, it's good to take a retreat. We all have our ambitions. We all have what we want. We all have what our supporters want us to do. But I think more importantly, what is good for the country. And at that particular point in 2018, when all of us, if you even happen to go to any international conference, the first thing you would be asked is, how is it back at home? Is it safe? So we were able to address that particular issue, and that was the most important thing. Then you had the BBI that sought to address some of the long-standing issues. I come from a county where one of my constituencies has 150,000 registered voters. In the same country, you have another one with 20,000 registered voters. Those two members of parliament, when they meet in parliament, they all have equal power. So one section has a devalued vote and another one has a higher vote. So the equality of the vote is also something very important. And when the BBI came, although it did not go through, we had the opportunity to discuss and put our case forward. And he also came forward and supported us. And I think for that, those are some of the reasons I would say we are sympathetic to his cause.
All right. And you mentioned that personally you haven't voted in that direction before. I'm assuming that's towards the Prime Minister Raila Odinga. And the same has been perceived the leaders from Mount Kenya had said that that is not the direction that they're going to take. So what are you going to tell the people of Mount Kenya now? Were you wrong back then to change their minds? What are you going to tell them? What is the message to change their mind should you decide to back Honorable Raila Odinga in the Mount Kenya region?
I'm sure should that time come, we will have a strategy. But I also want to tell you that the region is receptive to all candidates. I came personally from 𝗦𝗡𝗃𝗃 yesterday all the way up to 𝗧𝗂𝗧 in broad daylight. We did not require any protection, and 𝗏𝗏𝗃 received us all the way. You come, you speak your agenda, and if you speak to their hearts and their interests, then they will be ready to listen to you. I think it would also be wrong to create perceptions that certain regions are no-go zone for certain candidates. And I think that is the beginning of chaos. Then secondly is that in Kenya, sometimes we have developed this notion that you don't vote somebody. What you do is vote out somebody. So you have to create a hate image so that you can direct people in a particular way. So some of these has been used in the past, where instead of saying, if you have two candidates, instead of saying this candidate is good, you say
the other one is bad.
The other one is so bad that we have to make sure we vote this one in. And I think it's been used across all these elections by different people for different purposes, even at the gubernatorial level, at MP level. These things have been used.
Yeah.
But I think just like in the fairy tales, we create ogre stories so that we can deter children from going out at night. So such myths were created around candidates, and they've been repeated time and again. But is it also not true that the same former Prime Minister, when he endorsed Mwai Kibaki, they called him Jamba, which simply means their hero? So I think they are also cognizant that times change, interests change, and when you are fighting for one cause, you're a partner. When you're fighting for different causes, then you become an opponent. Then they come up with strategies around that. So I want to confirm, nobody is impossible to sell in any region. It just depends on the narrative that is developed towards that particular candidate.
You say but times have changed. And speaking of time, in your own county, Nakuru, there was a declaration by the President Uhuru Kenyatta, yangu 10, ya naibu wangu 10. What changed that whole arithmetic? It was in your backyard, actually.
Well, I wouldn't speak for the president, and I have not heard him openly declare whether he stands for it or doesn't stand for it. But I think just like they have had very many political declarations. And I think just like anything else, including marriage, even when you say, I do, you have a responsibility to make sure that that marriage works. It's not enough just to say that you're married or something like that. So it is the same that even if you say we're going to have a partnership in the next 10 years or 5 years, we both have a responsibility to work towards making sure that it happens. But if one partner works in a manner that is perceived to be against the interest of another, then the future success of such a union is in limbo. So I think a declaration also has very many assumptions that we shall work together for the first 10, it shall go for the other 10. But as we know, just like in any other relationship, issues come in between. And I think that's where we are.
All right. So speaking of issues, are you confident that the leaders who have been speaking, and there are several of them from the Mount Kenya region, from different places, are they speaking the language of the people on the ground? Are they representing their views as is?
Which particular?
Especially in Mount Kenya region. When you say that we will galvanize and go a certain direction, are they speaking the language of the people on the ground, or is there a possibility that the people think very differently from the leaders who speak on national TV?
I think it's two-way. Do the words and actions of leaders inform the public? I think it's true. Are they necessarily saying what's on the ground? I think that is also debatable. But I think it's also good to confirm that I think if you recall from around 2018, the clarion call by the president was that let us stop politicking, let us go to work. When it will be time for politics, we shall do the politics. But it would appear that that time when it would be ripe to do politics had not come. But now it has come. So we expect very many political conversations. And I think moving on, I think almost every other week, every other month, there'll be key meetings and key discussions around how we can be able to move forward. So I think we will eventually, the region will be aligned. And also to confirm that what informs choices is interest. So I think it's not that you can't work with X or Y, but where are your interests best met? Okay. And there has been a bit of vacuum in terms of leaders having a conversation, especially the young generation. But I think, like I said, now is time for that conversation.
Okay. Final words from you, Governor Lee Kinyanjui. What should Kenyans be looking for in a leader as we go forth, and what do you expect from the IEBC, for example?
Okay, thank you. So I think with respect to the IEBC, we have had a few challenges in the past. I think the first one was in the ruling on the BPI. There were certain aspects that touched on the IEBC, and in particular the degree to which it was constituted and whether decisions made prior to its full constitution were applicable. So I think these are questions we really need to look at, and also to confirm that it is important IEBC to command respect from all sides, and that in the past we've had situations where we are approaching an election and people heading those institutions, if they ask they are ready, they say they are not ready. Some of those statements are reckless and can cause a lot of challenges and anxiety in a nation. So it is important that we have a bipartisan approach to ensuring that IEBC is ready and is working to ensuring that we are moving forward and all necessary measures are taken. But beyond IEBC, it's good to confirm that elections are not just about IEBC. There are many other institutions that are also critical in ensuring a good election. And I think one of them is, for example, the NCIC, issues to do with hate, issues to do with profiling of communities or people and so on. So I think we need to look at approaching this election beyond just the IEBC, also looking at the police and all these other institutions and the degree to which they are ready to play their role. Then lastly also is to confirm that as we go to the next election, I think it's important to note that leaders make very critical decisions. And just to give one of them, in Kenya, decisions are made in Parliament. Budgets are made in Parliament. Vetting is made in Parliament. A lot of Kenyans have been complaining about fuel, but taxation is passed in Parliament. So it's good to know that a lot of decisions around our life, our cost of living, our economic issues, security, all those issues are actually made there. In that. And of course, Parliament is also greatly influenced by the executive. The executive also makes very key core decisions. So I think it's important that we open our eyes. I've said it in the past. It's also good to say that Kenya is also a key nation within the region, and that therefore the decisions that are made here in Kenya also impact on the larger region and the whole of Africa. So we need to open our eyes, see the greater responsibilities that we have. And of course, the elephant in the room is issues to do with corruption. I think if there's anything we must address with urgency, is the issue of corruption. If you cannot access a job, let it not because you had no money to bribe. If you cannot access a tender, it shouldn't be because you did not have money to bribe or favoritism and such like ills that we have had in the past. And I think for all the candidates who will be coming out, I think these are issues that we'll be looking at. Uniting the country, I think, remains a core issue. And I think for every Kenyan, I think it's important to feel that you're not any less because you come from one region or the other.